Hello, PPL. Ashton Akai here, and welcome back to another edition of your Division 1 Power Rankings. Now, of course, as with last time, I'm not alone, so say hello, Frida.
Hello, Fredo.
Hello, Frida. Yeah. I set myself up for that one.
You really did.
So, anyway, we are going to be going into the Power Rankings for Week 1. We'll post kind of Week 1 of play here. As with last time, of course, just a quick reminder, these are our opinions, guys, and like last week where we only had the Mons to move people on, I mean, we've only got one game here to kind of move people around on, so there's definitely still going to be, there will be some people who did a good bit of moving, some people who dropped down maybe a little bit lower than they maybe almost deserved on the way that they played, but at 2-3 games, as it'll definitely even itself out as time goes on. So
yeah,
with that, let's just jump right in. So number 12, I think we're in agreement here, which is probably not too much of a surprise.
No.
I've got RTK.
So do I.
Still at number 12. I mean, he was last after the draft analysis, and he suffered what was a pretty rough loss here in Week 1. So I mean, he's not going to be he's going to be sticking bottom really.
It wasn't like a horrific game from his side.
No,
it was just he made some bad moves that made the game go badly for him.
Exactly. I mean, it was like he made, especially at the start, he made a couple of plays that were, like volt switching when the Nido Queen came in. Things that were kind of, it's like second turn, I'm just going to go for what I felt like it was kind of, it's second turn, I'm just going to go for it, see how he reacts. And just Sam continued to kind of punish him at every turn when that happened.
Yeah.
And then he said it, I think, in his narration that, it was still 6-6, and he already felt like he'd kind of lost the game. And it was just kind of like, watching it sort of felt that way, he lost sort of control of the play even at 6-6 and just never really kind of managed to get himself back into it.
Yeah, he gave Sam the upper hand as soon as he clicked Scald. As soon as he clicked that move, straight away it was like, Sam's going into Hariyama here. He's got guts Hariyama.
Yeah.
You've got when someone's got a gutsmon on their team and you've got something that is usually going to go for a Scald, like a Melodic, then they're pretty much going to be going into that Gutsmon when they're expecting you to go for that Scald.
Yeah, and that's why you don't go for
Scald. It's just
going
to end badly.
And you also don't go for Toxic.
Yes, you don't do that either.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but to be fair, right, I clicked that and I instantly knew, I was like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I mean, you did say in your narration immediately, like, oh, this is a mistake, I know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But, so basically, it wasn't a horrible game from RTK's side. It's just kind of, he lost. It was, by the end, Sam was totally in control, and he's not going to move up, having lost in Week 1. It's really that simple.
No. I do want to say on, the good thing for RTK, though, he scouted for the bullet punch on the Hariyama really
did,
well.
And that was good. It's kind of comes back to what we were saying. He didn't play that badly. He definitely had some good points as well.
Yeah, Sam just out-prepped him and outplayed him for the most part.
Yeah,
and RTK's draft really did show that it is a bit too defensive and doesn't have anything that hits back really hard.
It really did, because Sam was able to really make good use of the couple of sets, which I'll talk about a bit more when we get to him, probably.
Jirachi.
Yeah, Jirachi.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, there's not a lot else to really say about that one.
No.
He got outplayed. I think he's definitely he knows he got outplayed, and he's going to be working to improve in subsequent weeks. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. On to number 11, and I think we're in agreement here as well.
I'm just scrolling up in the chat to see if we are. But I think yeah, we are.
I should probably have but we're in agreement here. I've got Necrostevo.
Same.
Right. So Necrostevo. This is another one that he didn't play overly badly. Like there were some questionable things that he did that I found myself wondering, but I definitely felt like the kind of inherent weakness in the draft that he kind of picked up, with the kind of a lot of stuff weak to fire, and then some things which take fire hits got exposed by that Crunch Arcanine pretty severely.
Yeah.
Like
he got really in his head. He was convinced that there was going to be an Iron Tail from Arcanine coming.
He did.
He was convinced that was the coverage move that was going to be going for. So he went into Chandelure expecting to take a fire move if he was randomly going to go for that, or the Iron Tail, which he really, really believed was coming.
Yeah, and I mean, Arcanine does also get Crunch, though. That's the thing. And looking at his team, it's a move that if I was prepping for it, I'd definitely be running, because fire coverage plus Crunch on Arcanine actually does a lot of work to Necro's team.
It really does.
So I mean, to not kind of going into Chandelure the way that he did, and obviously getting it 2-hit KO'd, that was kind of the big, I think, point in this game, because then all the fire coverage that Sly had, he was just able to kind of just click Flamethrower, Hidden Power Fire, and just kind of tear through his team.
Yeah.
So this was a game where I felt like obviously he's lost as well, and another one where I think we kind of saw a bit of the weakness in the draft, but one that I'm still very interested to see him use, particularly the Abomasnow, which didn't really get an opportunity to do its thing this week. I mean, he had that opportunity to Earthquake on the Arcanine, didn't take it, and then it got killed by a Flamethrower.
Yeah, he said after his narration that he's going to be going to play some Showdown Lives with Abomasnow, just so he can get more comfortable with it.
Yeah, which is a good move. I mean, he definitely looked at this game and realized that he needs to practice a bit more, get himself a bit more comfortable, and it'll be interesting to see in future weeks kind of the changes he makes, because the weaknesses that his team does have got exposed, like I said, pretty badly in this game.
Yeah. I think it's after next week they get to make their first transfer, is it?
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting. It's week 3, isn't it? Or is it? Yeah, it's after week 2, so before week 3. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe he makes some changes there, or I think a change, or I think there to kind of address those weaknesses.
Yeah. But I'm done on Necro. There wasn't a big game to say much about.
No, this was another one that there just wasn't a lot to really say.
Yeah.
On to number 10 then. I have actually got Unlawful Exile. Unlawful Up.
You had it right the first time.
I did. I've got Unlawful Exile. I did have it right. I was I started to say it. I was like, wait, is that what he's going by? But anyway, he has moved up from. I'm pulling up last week's ranks so that I'm not saying silly things here. He's moved up from 11th on his round 1 win there. There were a couple of things that I wasn't overly fond of. He was lucky there that losing the Hitmonchan without getting a rapid spin-off didn't kind of cost him more than it did. And I think there was a spell there. I'm pulling my notes up, where he had 3 turns. I think it was the his Venusaur. He does have a Venusaur. His Mega Venusaur against the Excadrill, and just allowed it to kind of sit on the field, over-predicted once going for Sludge Bomb. And I mean, had his opponent been able to kind of take advantage of that and get maybe get a crit on an Earthquake, I don't know, that could have potentially been, Excadrill is a massive threat. You don't want to leave it sitting on the field if you can just get rid of it. But this is another game. I don't think there was a lot to. He got a bit lucky with a crit on the Slowbro, but obviously crits happen. But overall, another game that there weren't a lot of huge talking points. But he's won there, so I've gone ahead and moved him up 1.
Yeah, I have him a bit higher, so.
Yeah, but you had him a bit higher after the draft as well.
Yeah.
So.
That's true. So, in my number 10, if you're done talking about Liam. Sorry, I spaced out a little bit because I was getting feedback on my mic. I was trying to fix that.
Oh, right. No worries.
Yeah, I've got Kelly, Under the Radar, Baltimore Braveries, I want to say. Yeah, that sounds like Kelly.
This should be fun to hear your opinion on this.
It was a good game. Like, they both played really well, Frank and Kelly. Kelly got rid of his Jesus Christ, let me try that again. Ala Momola really early, just so he could get a load of damage off from Gardevoir. Because, like Kelly said in his narration, Gardevoir just wrecked his team. Just left, right, and centre. So he played that well. It was a shame that Ala Momola went down so early, because it did a lot against sort of other things on Frank's team, like, you know, the Cobalion, Hippowdon, etc.
Definitely.
But he kind of went for risk versus reward, and he needed to try and get as much damage as he could on the Gardevoir. There was a couple things about Kelly's team, like Ape, the Infernape. It just absolutely destroyed Frank's team. But Frank prepared properly for that with the Rindo Berry.
That was beautiful.
It was. And I really think Kelly should have maybe expected that. Just because it's the only coverage Infernape gets for Hippowdon, and it's going to do a lot of damage. And Frank's obviously going to see how weak his team is to Infernape. And should have really just expected the berry there. I know it's hard to expect berries from your opponents. Because, you know, they could bring it, they couldn't bring it on things like Hippowdon, where it doesn't have a 4 times weakness. You're not necessarily going to predict it, but I think that was one of the circumstances where you would predict a berry.
Yeah, and I think he got some damage on the Hippowdon already, hadn't he? So he would have seen that it wasn't leftovers.
Yeah.
So I mean, then you should, like, I'd probably be starting to wonder, well, what is it then?
It's either going to be smooth rock or it's a berry, basically. Yeah. Because Frank needed the defensive Hippowdon for Kelly's team. He couldn't have got away with like an offensive set, where he'd be running like, you know, sort of expert belt or something like that.
Yeah.
But like Kelly won in the end. Obviously, Frank couldn't break through the Reuniclus and Amoonguss core. Yep. He just couldn't break that. So he did win. And also Kelly, Kelly paused his video to give me a little sort of briefing on why he was sacking his Amoonguss, saying that I would have told him to preserve differential, which I'm still going to. Sorry, Kelly, but you had your Amoonguss in against a Starmie. The Starmie basically had no health whatsoever. I'm not sure if he said a number. I think I heard like 10 HP.
It was really, really low.
But then he's got a Reuniclus chilling in the back that is on almost full HP. I think it's like leftovers took it to full HP. That's how close to full HP it was. So the Starmie's going to do one of two things. It's either going to go for the Psychic to try and KO the Amoonguss, or it's going to go for Recover. We'd already seen the Shadow Ball damage from Reuniclus earlier on, and all Reuniclus had to do was come in if on the Psychic or Recover, and it was most likely going to get the KO with a Shadow Ball based on a roll. Yep. Starmie wasn't going to be able to two-hit KO the Reuniclus from there anyway, because we'd already seen it was a leftovers variant. So I appreciate Kelly's little sort of briefing on it, on why he made that, and thank you for giving that to me. But I really think you still could have preserved just that extra +1, because, you know, it could come down to that +1 mattering on position in the end.
Oh, it definitely could. I mean, it's the reason I finished first in TBU this season. I think more or less just like one differential point. So
I think it was, yeah.
It can definitely come back to bite you, not preserving every bit of differential that you can.
Yeah. So I'm really sorry for that. Sounded like I was beating on you, Kelly. I wasn't. I was just giving my 2 cents, which is what I'm here for.
Yeah, exactly. That's what both of us are here for.
So yeah, moving on to number 9s.
Right. I have Onesie at number 9.
So do I.
Hey, we're in agreement. This is another one that I almost didn't really want to move him down because I really enjoyed his team and his play. I mean, he would obviously we were always going to have to talk about this game and the Whimsicott, but
Oh, I missed out on the Whimsicott because I was watching everything in a rush. I kind of didn't stick around for the after game speeches.
Oh right. Yeah, that was it was a misgen. It had Infiltrator instead of Prankster, so he wasn't able to get Tailwind up against the Blaziken, which which definitely could have mattered a fair bit. In fact, I think Shroom said in his narration that it was dubious as to whether or not he would have won the game at all had the Tailwind got up. So like it was that close.
Yeah, it was a really good game. Like they both played really well.
It was, and I really enjoyed some of Alex's sets. The Smackdown on Marowak was really I was really pleased to see that. Obviously to deal with some of Shrew, like things like the Wheezing, the counter Chalpaberry Regirock was wonderful. I was sad when it didn't get. I was honestly sad when it didn't get to do its thing because you know how much I love my berries and my counter coat. But he played a really good game. And he had Psychic on his Mega Sableye, which was glorious. Obviously knowing that Wheezing can't really do anything to Mega Sableye, and that allows him to hit both the Wheezing and the Blaziken. So I mean, it was a really well prepped team. It was a well played game. He was it comes down to that error being, we don't know how the game would have actually played out if he'd been Prankster and been able to get the Tailwind up, because obviously a lot of stuff happened after that. But it was I definitely see him moving up in future weeks, and I'm sure every game from now on he will be double and triple checking every single one of his sets.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely going to be moving up for me as well. I wish I could have put him up even though he lost.
Yeah, because I mean, I wish, I wanted to just kind of not move him, but like everything else about this game was great. I really enjoyed it. It was just that one thing that cost him the game.
Yeah, he basically lost out to that, and just he wasn't ready for Sylveon.
Yeah.
Sylveon just beat him down, wore everything down to the point where Blaziken was just like, oh, it's my time to sweep.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that was really unfortunate, because I think the Tailwind would have mattered massively. But yeah, I don't have much to say from Alex's side on that, because it was just a well-played game from both of them, and unfortunately, Shroom just wore everything down to the point he needed it to.
Yeah, and then he didn't have the Tailwind to kind of, potentially get him back into it there.
Yeah.
So, he's definitely one who will be moving up in future weeks.
Yep.
So, on to number 8. Yeah, this is where I think we start to vary a little bit. We have kind of the same group of people, but they're in a different order. So, I've actually got Shoddy here. I wanted to move him up more so badly. Like I really, really did. He played. I think that may have been my favorite game of the week. Him and Jack. His prep was on point. I really liked the offensive mixed Crobat.
Yeah.
And the Encore and Lopunny. And he I don't know what else to really say about that. He played a really, really good game. The only reason I've not moved him up more is because I've already moved down, like the couple of people above him, I've already moved down a bit, even though they played really well too, and I felt it'd be a little bit unfair to kind of move them down further than I did. But he will, if he continues to perform like that, he'll be shooting right up the power rankings, no question about that.
I have Shoddy quite a few places higher, so
yeah,
I did actually move him up a few places this week.
Yeah, you did. So you can talk more about him when we get there. Who do you have at number 8?
I've got Unlawful Exile, Liam, yeah. And West Chan United. First of all, why isn't Hitmonchan your mascot? I don't understand that. Can you please let me know? Pretty please. But anyway, onto the most important part of the game. I've moved him down, even though he won. Like, I moved him down one place. But that's also because I've moved Shardy up a few places.
Yep.
The Hitmonchan went down super early, but it got the huge damage off on Latios. Like, he knew that he had to leave it there to take the hit from Latios
Yep.
and just get the massive damage off. So it did its job. That was excellent for him. The reason I've moved him down while he won was because I think things just worked out for him in the game. Like, he got a max roll on the Drain Punch, he said.
Yep.
And there was a couple of other things like that where it was rolls and crits.
Yeah.
It was more like he got quite lucky overall, and I think that really hindered Trav.
I do too.
Like, he over-predicted a lot in the game, and he had the Mega Venusaur against the Excadrill, like, you know, expecting the Thundurus to come in. Whereas he could have just tried and got rid of the Excadrill there. Like, if the Thundurus would have had to be running Psychic or like HP Flying to really be a threat to the Venusaur anyway.
Yeah.
So I think he was just over predicting for the sake of it there, rather than, like, you know, it actually being the best move for him at the time.
Yeah.
And also there was the Miss Majors against Mega Ordino.
Yep.
He got to +4 with Nasty Plot, and then he was like ridiculously shocked by how little damage it did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Mega Audino.
Yeah. It did like 50% at +4. Obviously the Life Orb would have been knocked off. But I don't think he sort of calced before the game, because you would have known that, like, you know, even if you're at +6, Miss Majors isn't going to KO Mega Ordino.
Yep.
So I think he needs to pay attention to a few more calcs before he goes into the game. And, like, this is his first league, so he may not be as aware of things like that as, say, like, you know, the other guys are, or me or you are.
Yeah.
Because it's something that comes with playing a lot in this format.
It definitely does.
You calc just everything. You calc against every member of the team except a Selgor.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just calc for everything, and just you try to find what is going to be the worst case scenario for you. And that's what the calcs are there for. So you would have known, great, if I set up to +4 or +6 with Miss Majors, how much damage am I going to do to every single one of his mons? And that's going to come back later on when we get to speaking, when I get to speaking about Jack versus Shadi, about calcs and being set up. So hopefully Liam would have watched that game and would have learned something from it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're very right in that, you know, this is his first league, and I mean, thinking back to my own kind of first experiences in league play, just how important kind of knowing, you know, running all those calcs and kind of going into a game, you know, really knowing kind of just how much damage you can do at different levels of setup. Like, do I need to get to +2, +4, whatever? It becomes very, very critical, and I think it almost came back to bite him in this match.
Yeah. But that's all I got to say.
Right. So, on to number 7 then. I think that's where we are, yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I have got Jack here at number 7. Jack is another one that I really didn't want to move down, because he played really, really well in his loss to Shadi. I liked a number of his spreads. I was a big fan of the Megaladios in particular. It was really interesting. I was really kind of keen to see how it would perform, like, you know, after kind of my own first experiences with Latias in CBU. I wasn't so sure about the mixed defensive Skarmory, just because his team kind of, like, I know he had enough defensive investment to take a high jump. I think he said a high jump kick plus a return from Jolly Mega Lopunny, but his team still kind of doesn't really want to take repeated hits from it, and that kind of showed a bit. Yeah. After the Skarmory went down. Also, you know, he can choose to run Adamant. There's that as well. And he said it himself in the video that was kind of an oversight. And but you know, I thoroughly enjoyed his team. I thought he played it well. He particularly there was one play in particular where he stayed in with I think it was Florges against the skunk tank, knowing, kind of expecting Shoddy to go for the crunch, kind of expecting the switch. That I was kind of glad to see, because he's really showing how much he's improved kind of since for the first season of the PPL, and I think with the team he's got this season, he's definitely he's going to be another one to watch as the season goes on.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I've got him higher there.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, of course.
So my number 7 is Slyro. He's another one I moved down even though he won, but that's because I had to move Shardy up.
Yeah.
I really don't have much to say about this game from Sly's point. He built his team well, he played well, he made the right move at the right time with the crunch on the Arcanine, and his team just beat Necro, and Necro helped Sly beat him by some of the moves he made.
Yeah.
So well done, Sly. Sorry I've moved you down even though you've won.
Fair enough.
That's all I've got. Sorry.
Right. So on to number 6 then. I guess. And who have you got actually at number 6? Because I've forgotten.
I've got Shoddy.
Oh, you've got Shoddy. So I'll let you talk about Shoddy then in a minute. I'll go first. Because I have Frank here at number 6.
Okay.
Frank was another one actually that I really wasn't a fan of moving down, because I thought he played really well against Kelly. Some of his sets were really nice. I loved the Rindo Berry on the Hippowdon to deal with Infernape. When I was watching the battle and saw the berry go off, I was just like, yes, well done. I liked the bulky Mega Gardevoir for Kelly's team with Taunt. That was beautiful. It was beautiful, and I mean, had it not taken all that damage early in the game, it definitely could have been a big issue. He was a bit unlucky, obviously, with that spell at the end with the Snorlax, because Kelly went for the Spore on the Snorlax coming in, because the Snorlax was looking like to be a really big threat late game, how he kind of set it up. I wasn't, he definitely, at the end there, kind of, I don't want to say panicked a little bit, but he kind of, I think it was I think he said in his narration, he got a bit frustrated, staying in and going for subs against the Amoonguss when HP Fire was, breaking, when I think he'd said already that he knew it was offensively invested, and it's going to do enough to break the sub. So I'm not entirely sure what he was going for there. But otherwise, up until that point, it was a really well-played game. And honestly, I think it's like we kind of mentioned before when you were talking about Kelly. This was a really good game, that was well-played by both of them. And it just kind of came down to that little bit that Kelly was kind of able to, kind of get the right kind of stuff kind of went right for Kelly in the last section to kind of close it out.
It definitely did.
Yeah.
But I've got Frank higher, so...
Yeah.
You've got everyone lower than me.
It's because I kind of used, if they won or they lost as kind of an initial, mover. I mean, it's week 1. We've got that and how they played is all we really have to rank them, so...
Yeah. But I'm going to talk about Shoddy now, if that's okay with you.
Talking about Shoddy, go for it.
Yeah. I know you're not supposed to move people up by a few places after, one game, but I wasn't happy with how low I had Shoddy in the post-draft anyway, and the only reason he was so low was because of his team, but now because I can rank him on ability, then he's got to come up as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That Skuntank, that was just so well played.
It was.
Shoddy showed off perfectly in that match why I want to draft Skuntank.
Yeah.
And why I'm annoyed I haven't been able to get it yet.
Well, and he also showed very well kind of what we were saying in the post-draft, in that kind of, a lot of his team were mons that we know he's comfortable with and that he's going to use well, but we couldn't really factor that in when we ranked him.
Yeah, exactly. He loves Skuntank. He had it last season as well.
Yeah.
And he used it exceptionally well. He used P2 really well as well.
He did.
And that was a massive pain for Jack. He couldn't really break it early on. And then Shoddy was even taking super effective hits with the P2 from Hitmonlee, just to take the damage, and then he was recovering up. They both played really well. Shardy was just the better man on the day, and he had the edge with some of his sets. Jack really struggled against the Skuntank because of the coverage he had and the way Shardy kept playing it. It was so perfectly played that in the end, Jack eventually just had to say, look, I could save my Mega Latios here, but the Skuntank's coming in, I'm going to die to poison, I have to take it out here because it's just too much of a pain.
Yeah.
And then, Shardy finished off with the Megalop sweep, and of course, I'm going to love that.
Well, yeah, I mean, he showed just how much of a threat that thing is.
Yeah. It was just really, from the beginning, for me, as I was watching it, Shardy seemed to be in complete control of the game.
He did.
Shardy was rolling with the punches, he was scouting when he needed to, the Crobat against the Heliolisk. He sacked when he needed to. And also, about the Crobat, Brave Bird and Life Orb, holy recoil.
Oh, yeah, but...
It was good, I see why he did it, just the recoil was insane.
It was, for sure.
But yeah, it was extremely well played by Shardy, and I'm glad that he managed to not get hacked out against Jack this season.
No, yeah, definitely. And I mean, he played an exceedingly good game, and honestly, it's like I said when I talked about him, he's only not higher on my power rankings because I didn't really want to be mean to a couple of other people. That's literally the only reason.
So you're trying to say I've been mean to a couple of other people?
No, I'm saying that you did the brave thing and moved people more than I was willing to.
So I've got bigger balls than you.
Yeah, see, I was complimenting you.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
So, on to number 5.
Right, number 5, I've got Sly here, and this was, honestly, I really kind of struggled in, 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, 7, 8. Really. But okay, so
sorry, I just took a drink as you said that. Carry on, sorry, man.
Okay, yeah, so Sly, as you kind of said, there wasn't a lot to really say about this game. I mean, he's moved up because he won, and won pretty well. He made the right plays at the right time. The Arcanine, I enjoyed the Arcanine set. I'm just trying to see if I had anything else specifically that I wanted to point out from my notes here. I don't think there was. It was more or less kind of like you said. I just kind of said, like you said. But I liked the Bronzong set. And predicting the Chandelure to come in and going for the crunch there, that was excellent. And he basically he built a really solid team that was well designed to expose the weaknesses in Necro's team, and he executed very well and won the game. I mean, that's really what it came down to.
Yeah. So you're done, I take
it. Yes, I'm done. I'm
Sorry.
done. I'm done. There's just not a lot to say on that game.
Yeah, no, it was just a quick, easy game.
Yeah.
But that sounded really dickish. It was a well-played game from one side.
Yeah, it's just it was well played and well prepped, and I mean there wasn't any big other than the Arcanine, it was very kind of, I don't want to say routine because that's mean to Necro, but it was I could see what his strategy was, and he executed it perfectly and was able to take the game without a lot of real issue.
Yeah. So my number 5 is Jack.
Yep.
I think I've moved him down 1. But I've already just said when speaking about Shardy, he played really well. But there was just too much pressure from certain Pokemon on Shardy's team. But Jack played his Mega Latios really, really well.
He did.
At one point he got to +3 with Calm Mind, but then Shardy brought in the Megalob, and Jack knew that even at that point, a fake out return was going to KO him.
Yep.
So even though he's at +3, he'd rather waste that +3 than waste the Latios.
Yeah.
Which goes to show that he'd done his calcs before going into it.
Yep.
And he knew what he could and couldn't take. So he obviously had to get out of there, or he was about to lose it.
Yep.
So that showed good foreknowledge from him in that regard. which is nice to see from a coach. Like, you picked up on it, saying that Jack has improved a lot since the first season of the PPL, and I think Jack's like the one that always gets the sort of he gets the bad end of the stick for being bad and everything, and like, you know, he's a scrub and so on and so forth, but I think he is the one that's improved the most out of everybody in the league that's returned each season. And now, like you said, he's got a better team again. Hopefully this will be the season for him where he can take all of that experience he's gained and all of that improvement and just put it to really good use and try and clinch the top spot.
Yep. I mean, I couldn't put it any better than that. It'll be really interesting to see how he continues to improve kind of as the season continues.
Yeah. But that's all I got to say on Jack.
Cool, so on to number 4. And I've actually got Kelly here at number 4. Now, Kelly, don't make me regret moving you up as much as I did, okay? Don't make me regret it. We've already kind of talked about Kelly a bit, when we were discussing Frank, and just earlier when you talked about Kelly.
Sorry, I've got to answer the door.
It's all right, I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
He had a good win. Managed to get some early damage on the Guard of War, which was great. He lost a couple of Mons quite early, and lost the Alamamola earlier than I'm sure he wanted to, because as you said before, it did a lot of work against Frank's other Mons. But I could definitely see why he did it, because he wanted to make sure that the Guard of War was in range of what his other Mons could do to hurt it, and completely understand that one, fine. I kind of wish he hadn't clicked Magic Out the second time he had Alamamola against the Powdon. I mean, I'm sure that he was probably thinking I've already shown it to him, it would be like he's gonna expect me to not go for it. But at the same time, Frank Frank didn't have a team that wanted to have rocks up on his side of the field really either. So, I think he wasn't going to easily, give that one to Kelly. It would have been nice to see him maybe try to get some damage on the Pout on there, but it's I could see what he was thinking, but at the same time, kind of questioning it, because, once he'd shown it, the surprise factor was kind of gone. I liked Spore predicting the Snorlax to come in, because Snorlax was looking really, really scary for him late game, especially if it, the Curselax, I hate Curselax, it still gives me nightmares. Curselax, because obviously, as Kelly kind of put it, it meant that then they had to play kind of a game of guess when the Snorlax is going to wake up. And I mean, anything you can kind of do in that situation to make it a little less likely for the Snorlax to destroy you is good. I think he was right to play safe at the end to kind of guarantee the win, but I kind of also see I hadn't when you were talking about earlier and you brought the Beanoclus up, it kind of he probably could have gone into that and secured the differential. I can definitely see his logic behind it. I think at the time when I was kind of discussing it with him, I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. You want to secure the win first, and then go for differential, but there was maybe an opportunity for him to have done it there. But otherwise, a good first win for him. I think he used his Amoonguss really well. The Alamola was used pretty well, even though it went down early. All around, just it was a really good game from both of them, and things went Kelly's way at the end, which kind of allowed him to close the game up. Is that you? That's you coming back just in time, isn't it? I hope.
Yes. Awfully sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, my girlfriend just got home from work, and I had to answer the door.
I can't leave her, standing at the door while we finish recording this. That would have been rude.
Yeah, it's very cold out.
Yeah.
Awfully sorry about how unprofessional that is, but
Yeah, we're we're so professional anyway. But
yeah,
I've finished up talking about Kelly. So who have you got at number 4?
I have Shroom, because Shroom played an exceptionally well game. I'm not sure that made proper English. Neither did that, but there you go. I wanted to move him up further, but I couldn't justify moving him up massively after I've already moved someone else up massively. But Shroom played a really good game. Like we talked about it earlier when we both spoke about Alex. Shroom he had the better sets in the end, and obviously that tailwind did come into it.
Yep.
But Shroom knew exactly what he had to do going into the game. That's one thing Shroom always does, is he goes into the game with a game plan. It's a very solid plan. He knows when he has to do something. He knows what the purpose of each mon is and why he's going to use them at that certain point. He always executes it exceptionally well. And his prep is always like on point. Sylveon is one of those Pokemon where it's got a number of different viable sets it can run.
Yep.
And it's often tempting to run a choice spec set, especially when you see how weak Alex's team is to a choice spec Sylveon.
Yep.
But Shroom resisted that temptation, and you just thought, no, I need defensive because I can still deal massive damage because his team is so weak to Sylveon. But I can also be able to take hits. Like, he took the 2 hits from a Bone Meringue, from the Marowak, and it did massive damage, but of course Sylveon lived.
Yep.
Alex got some good reads on Shroom when he was going for the Wish Protect.
He did.
But it didn't amount to, like, you know, a massive advantage for him in the end.
Yep.
But yeah, Shroom just played a solid game as always. Sylveon just wore everything down to the point where Blaziken just got the sweep. The one thing Shroom didn't do too well was he went into the Crocodile instead of Sylveon, but Shroom recognized that that was the wrong play, or wasn't the most ideal play. So fair play to him for, like, you know, even in his narration saying, yeah, this worked out, but I should have done this anyway.
Yeah.
And also, nice and Weezer reference on the Weezing. I see you, Shroom. But yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3, I've got Trav here at number 3.
Ooh.
Right, so moved down 1 spot, obviously, but that's because of a very specific reason. His set, like, as we kind of talked about when we both kind of spoke about Liam, he was vastly unlucky a couple of times. He got punished a couple of times pretty badly for sort of over predictions, going for rocks on the Mismagius. And then missing the crit plus life orb, so then he wasn't sure what move. Like, he kind of assumed it was specs and was kind of playing for a bit under that assumption, which is, you know, playing under I've been in that situation, playing under the wrong assumption, and it's never a good place to be. Like, you know, it was like I really liked the T-Tar set, you know, with Pursuit and the Chalpa Berry to deal really effectively with Mismagius, but that was just kind of a bit unlucky. The crit on the Slowbro, and then kind of panicking a bit against the Staraptor. Like, he acknowledged that in his performance, in his narration, that, you know, he didn't, like, he definitely panicked a bit and didn't kind of stop and think about what his optimum play was and how he could have maybe managed to get the Staraptor to knock itself out, because I think at one point it lived on like some really ridiculously low amount of HP after a 2 HP, something like that, after a Brave Bird. So, like, he definitely, like, I mean, a Staraptor like that is a scary thing, and I can understand why he panicked a bit. But you know, kind of like you were saying about Shroom, you know, he, in his narration, he definitely he recognized the places where he erred and kind of what he should have done differently. And so, you know, I mean, like, I had him up at number 2 for a reason. He's got a really good draft, you know, capable player, and I don't think this will set him back too much.
No. But again, I've got him slightly higher.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is Frank. As we addressed earlier in speaking about Kelly, Frank just struggled eventually to get rid of Amoonguss and Reuniclus, which was a bit unfortunate considering he's got an Entei. Which he didn't bring. I can see why he didn't bring it, because obviously there's an Azumarill and an Alomomola. But I think he possibly would have been better off bringing that over the Cabaleon.
Potentially. The Cabaleon didn't end up doing a ridiculous amount of work. And I mean, even if he does have the Azumarill, I mean, you can still burn it with a Sacred Fire on the switch-in.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot you can do against it. So I really think maybe that would have been a good change to have made before going into the game. But at the same time, I can see why he didn't do it, or was maybe a bit worried about doing it. The Rinderberry on Hippowdon was excellent because, like we said, Ape just wrecks his team.
Yep.
And Frank just got rid of it very early on, which is what you need to do in games, is obviously get rid of the biggest threat.
Yeah.
And he managed to allow his team to be able to do that, even though he had an overwhelming weakness against it.
Yep.
But that's all I got from Frank. I didn't want to move him down. I'm sure he'll be moving back up in the next couple of weeks.
He'll be moving back up on mine, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. Because it was a really well played game from him. Just didn't quite go his way, kind of in the latter stages.
Yeah.
Right. So up to number 2, and I have got Fufu here because it was a, like, honestly, like, had obviously you guys now know, because you're looking at the GFX and everything, who my number 1 is, and from last week my number 1 is. But, like, had he not won, he would have been moving up to number 1. Like, the game, the prep, it was beautiful. I don't know how else to really describe it. I mean, the Jirachi set was, like, it was marvelous. I enjoyed seeing it do all that work. The Nidoqueen did some really, really important stuff, and it was like the team was he was so well prepped. I mean, he read kind of, I think, the Mons, which were going to be coming against him, really, really well, and as a result of that, was able to come into this with a team that it was like he got control of it very, very early on and just never really let it go. Like, he was it was obviously not fun for RTK, but it was fun to watch.
Yeah. Sam's not my number 2.
No.
So I'm going to wait a little bit before I speak about him.
Right.
That's okay.
It is.
My number 2 is Trav. Obviously I had him at number 1 in the post-draft, and I've moved him down. I haven't moved him down so much because of how he played the game. It's more basically because I moved Sam up.
Mm-hmm.
But Trav, like you said, he just got really, really unlucky. And there was that whole panic at the end where he could have played around Staraptor a little better. But when you're staring down a Staraptor and you don't have many Pokemon left, you're gonna panic.
Yeah, you are.
I know I would, without a doubt. It just happened, basically. I think if there hadn't been those crits and those rolls, that Trav could have come away with the win. So it's really unfortunate they did happen. He made a nice early double with the T-Tar.
He did, yeah, that was really good.
And the other thing that did him in was he didn't pay attention to the Life Orb recall on Miss Majors.
Yep.
But at the same time, that didn't really matter in the end, because at +4 it did 50% to the Mega Ordino.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't really matter, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 1?
Number 1. Well, as everyone I'm sure has figured out by now, I've still got Shroom at number 1.
Kiss it.
Well, I'm not gonna move him down. He won. Come on. No, I'm not gonna move people down who won.
Oh wow, shots fired.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, like you've already said about Shroom, he played a really good game. He came into it like you said. You covered it really well. In fact, like with the game plan and particular, like, kind of a real way he wanted to approach the game. He was able to do it, really well. The Sylveon wearing things down, and then the Blaziken, going for the sweep there. Obviously, with the little caveat there because of the Whimsicott, but nothing you can do about a misgen like that.
No.
There was one thing that I did notice after watching his team builder. He had said that he really wanted to get the reason he had Will-O-Wisp he had Will-O-Wisp and Toxic Spikes on his Weezing for a very good reason, and was going to be looking to get them up, and to kind of, because of Onezie's kind of limited way to get rid of them. I think he's got the Zapdos, which can potentially defog, but that he was going to be looking to get them up at kind of every opportunity, and he had a really good chance to against the Marowak early on, and elected to go for Will-O-Wisp, kind of through what was like the plan that he sort of said he'd set out in his team builder out the window there. Obviously didn't end up mattering, but I'm a little bit curious as to why he elected to sort of do that, because it made a lot of sense and would have, I think it would definitely would have helped in the sweep late game. Yeah. But it was that was a little bit nitpicky. I was just a little bit curious about it. Otherwise, a really, really well played game. Obviously he benefited from the misgen, but like I said, we can't really do anything. You can't do anything about that. He stays at number 1. So
fair enough. So my number 1 is going to be Sam. Sam he played amazingly well. He prepped amazingly well. That Jirachi was perfectly EV to be able to not have its sub broken after Scald. There was the Grass Knot, there was the Flash Cannon, there was the HP Fighting. It was just perfectly played from him. Like, your opponent's got a Bishop and you've got a Jirachi. You're going to be worried about it. Your opponent's going to think you're worried about it. And he obviously won out the mind games in the end and just went for the HP Fighting and got rid of it. A nice 5-0 victory in the first week is really good for anybody.
Oh yeah.
It sets you up for the season, having such a strong win. I can't fault anything Sam did that game.
No.
He managed to keep the pressure on early game. He got the crit on Donphan, which mattered, but I don't think it could have taken 2 close combats.
No, it was guts boosted, and Hariyama hits ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have taken 2.
So all that meant was that he got to keep it as death fodder. But the pressure that he just put on stopped the rocks coming up.
Yep.
And when you have a Talonflame, everybody is going to want to get rocks up against you.
Yep.
Anytime you've got a 4 times weak mon, 2 rocks, they're going to be trying to get them up as much as you can.
Yep.
So to prevent that just from pressure alone is really, really good.
Yeah.
It was a masterclass in draft.
I mean, it was like I said, it was just fun to watch. It was how you prepare and win a draft game.
Yeah. But that's all I've got to say. Basically, it was amazing.
It was. So it really, really was. So that is going to be it for this week's power rankings. As always, I think all of the relevant links and stuff should be in the description below. So definitely go check all of that out. The PPL links, coaches links, all that good stuff. You guys will be seeing this on, I want to say Thursday. So tomorrow.
Don't let them know that we recorded it so late.
Yeah. No, so you guys will be seeing that on Thursday. Definitely let us know in the comment section below what you think of our rankings. As I said last week, if you think we're completely out of our minds, if you want to tell me I'm wrong, Shoddy, for not moving you up as much as Frito did, go right ahead. And we will be seeing you guys next week after the second week of games.
Yeah, you have to apologize for Eric getting a bit slow there. He was trying to remember if he'd said everything that he needed to.
Yeah, I was. That's the honest truth. I was trying to remember everything to make sure that I covered everything, and I think I have. So.
Yeah, you have. Otherwise, I'd be saying other things rather than, like, you know, throwing some smack talk your way.
Yeah, and that's why I have you here, to remind me of these things.
Yeah,
That's
but
literally the only reason you're here.
yeah. Well, what else am I doing here? Like, I'm not saying anything worthwhile.
True. Right. So, yeah, we're done now. So, we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.